Dune 2. Let's talk about it.
The father didn't believe in revenge.
Yeah, I do. Holy Mother.
I'll show you the way.
So, I haven't experienced a film like this with this much hype around it in a very long time.
I invited 12 of my friends.
What? This is a true piece of cinema right here.
Yeah, we had a whole block top right, and we enjoyed every single minute of that sweaty theater.
What did you guys think? Amazing film? Yeah.
You can maybe point to a movie like Barbie a couple of years ago, but I'm not really the demographic for that movie, so whatever. But this movie was different. Dune 2 felt like it pulled in every demographic. I mean, young and old, male, female, whatever. Everybody seems excited about this film. And I feel like it deserves that. Sort of. Now, I'll just get this out of the way. I gave it a 7 out of 10, but I have different requirements, right? So before you jump on me, let me explain, okay? The cinematography is brilliant. I mean, game-changing. And when I say game-changing, I mean that should be the standard for a movie of that caliber going forward. The director of photography of Dune 2, and the first Dune as well, deserves an Oscar. That's it. But for me, I'm a story person. I need a good story. I need strong characters. I need to know why they are the way that they are, and I don't want you to explain it to me. I need to see it. Otherwise, why am I not just listening to an audiobook? I came to the movie because I want to see why the Emperor, played by Christopher Walken, one of the greatest actors of any generation, I want to see why this character did the dog shit that he did. I mean, wiping out an entire family. Why? What made him? What brought him to this point? You don't have the time? Find the time. His daughter, Irulan, listen, I'll get into this later about Florence Pugh, but whatever. She was there basically to explain certain things with nothing but exposition. It was, and weak exposition at that. She was there primarily for exposition. And if you don't know what exposition is, let's just say it's explaining things instead of showing things. It's not great, and it's something that usually filmmakers who are making student films do. Not what somebody helming a $200+ million before marketing movie does, right? Okay. So I was a little let down because I felt like the first Dune was a very beautiful 2+ hour trailer. But I gave it some space because I felt like, okay, they're just introducing this thing, and the next movie, we're going to get into it. We're going to get to know every one of these characters on an intimate level. That never happened. Instead, what we got was way too much B-roll of the desert and little to no character development at all. Characters just kind of showed up, explained why they were there, did a few things, the movie ended. And I'm not going to lie, I felt kind of empty at the end of that film. So let's get into the performances. Now, this movie has the young, hot cast of 2024, right? And this stuff tends to change every 2 years or so. In 2 years, there'll be another It group. But generally, I really like this cast a lot. I'm a fan of Timothée Chalamet. Originally, I thought he was just going to be another pretty boy who, took pictures with screaming 15-year-old girls. He took a different route. He took the DiCaprio route, I think. He's chosen some really interesting roles, and I think my favorite has to be The King, directed by David Michôd. I love that film, and to me, that was the movie that set Chalamet apart, where I realized that, oh, this kid isn't screwing around. He's coming for the real stuff. He's the real deal. I believe that. His performance here was what it needed to be, I think. He was subdued but strong, and he really didn't do anything more than he had to. And I don't think the script really called for more, which is kind of disappointing. But he did his job. He was more than competent, and I thought he gave a solid performance. Zendaya, listen, I don't know. I've seen her in interviews. She seems like a pretty interesting person, but she mostly was just like an angry 12-year-old boy throughout the entire film. I kind of felt like her and Chalamet had no chemistry whatsoever, and it was kind of awkward. I just couldn't buy that he was like really falling in love with that character. But fine. She was fine. The movie ending on that angry 12-year-old boy face of hers, I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but it wasn't. Sorry. Becca Ferguson. Okay. I love this woman. I love her not just as a woman, which I love her as a woman. I think she's gorgeous, but she's so talented. When she's by far the strongest actor in this film. And I honestly think if the script gives really some meat and bones to one character, it's hers. And she eats in every scene that she's in. When she's walking around talking to her unborn fetus, it was great. It was great. I mean, I wanted more of it. And she's just so good every time. I mean, this is a woman that you can tell she doesn't phone anything in. If she's got a small part or a big part, she attacks that thing like very few actresses around her. Probably the strongest thing about the film. Loved every second that she was on screen. Okay? Javier Bardem. Okay? When he becomes a believer, when his character Stilgar finally gives over to this, he's not questioning Paul's role anymore. He seems to know it. Once he becomes that full-on believer, Javier Bardem eats. You could tell, it's all of a sudden he starts to really have fun with the role, really digging deep into that fundamental religious zealot. And it's great. It's really great when he starts to have fun with it. Austin Butler. I like Austin Butler. I actually met him a couple times. He's a good guy, a very nice guy. I saw him in Elvis. I think this is a guy who's kind of like Chalamet. He rejects the role of the pretty face. He wants to be an actor. And I think his work ethic really shows that, and I have a great deal of respect for him. I appreciate that he really digs deep into every role that he's in. So I thought he did a really good job. I don't think the script served him very well. I don't think it gave him much to do. And for a guy that seems to dig deep for every single role that he's in, I wish, kind of like I wished with Elvis, that the roles that he gets are more focused on his performance rather than, I guess, other stuff. Because the guy works. Florence Pugh. Listen, the script didn't do her any favors, and I'm not the type of dude to really hate on people, but Florence Pugh is kind of like furniture to me. Like, I'm aware that she's there, but I kind of don't care. You know, like, I watched her in Oppenheimer, and the scenes that she was in, I just wasn't really paying attention. Like, I kind of just drifted off. Now, Oppenheimer is 3 hours of people just talking in different rooms. So that could have also played into why I just wasn't paying attention to her. But that kind of seems to be the case in the few things that I have seen her in. I don't really get it. I don't get the hype around her. That's kind of it. Fine. She was fine. Josh Brolin. Now, I normally like Josh Brolin. I think he serves a very specific purpose in this film. He does what's needed. But this kind of weirded me out before I saw the film, and I'm not really sure how to feel about Brolin now. I mean, talking about Chalamet's adolescent phase, okay, whatever. It's Hollywood, so whatever. Stellan Skarsgård, listen, the guy has sired an entire family of really, really talented actors. He's great. He's always been great. Again, the script doesn't serve him. We got introduced to him in the first film, and he's really just this kind of giant hulking villain. The script for Dune 2 does nothing to develop that character at all. I don't know him any more than I did in the first film, and I'm pretty pissed about that. Because again, Christopher Walken, Stellan Skarsgård, why bother if you're not gonna let these guys eat? I don't get it. Dave Bautista. I normally really like Bautista. I like that he wants to be an actor. I like how seriously he takes every single role that he gets. And he tries to differentiate every role that he gets, unlike some other wrestler turned actors turned wrestlers again. I definitely like him more than the others. That's for damn sure. The script screwed him. He had nothing to do. He mostly just did that yelling thing.
Take everything we built! We'll give it to that duke!
And then it was over. So all in all, like I said, 7 out of 10. Visually, it's beautiful. For those members of the audience that are mostly visually stimulated, let's say, that's fine. If you went into this movie and what you saw was enough to make you think that this was the greatest movie in the world, that's fine. For those of us that kind of require some substance behind the style, dude, it just kind of disappointed. To be honest, it was a script on the level that I would expect from, let's just say, lesser directors.